Welcome to Heart in Hand, the Rangers podcast, the podcast that accepts responsibility for yesterday's defeat. This week on Heart in Hand, shite semi-final again. So welcome to Heart in Hand, the Rangers podcast. My name's David Edgar. I'm your host, and I'm joined this week, probably not the most fun week to be asked to do the pod, but they turned up nonetheless, for which I'm grateful. First of all, Mr. Cameron James Bell.
Good afternoon, David. Good afternoon.
And hopefully bringing some levity to proceedings is Mr. Alexander Staff.
I'll try my best, gentlemen, but welcome, as always. I would normally go here and say how we're feeling, but I don't think I really want to ask that question, do I?
Well, with regards to the opening statement on the show tonight, a listener last night, I think might have been drinking, but he got in touch with me via Twitter to tell me that it was my fault that we'd lost. And his rationale for this was, and I'll accept it, people, his rationale for this was, all week I'd been saying we were going to win, and I was confident, which I was. I thought we were going to win. And I'd said I'd never seen us lose at Hampden, which I hadn't, and that jinxed us. So it kind of makes the next 40 minutes or so of analysis a little bit redundant. We usually go over what happened in the match, maybe any underlying issues, maybe tactical problems, anything like that. But no, my fault, because I thought we would win and hoped that my good record at Hampden would continue. Listeners, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I'll try to avoid in future ever thinking that we're going to win a match that we're favourites for. Alex, do you wish to chastise me further?
Not really, no, but it is going to make every single word you say from now on very fucking fraught.
I didn't know I had this power. I didn't
realise either, no.
So from now on, I think we're going to get fucked every week, and I'll only go to places where I have a bad record. I think it's part of this. See, this is why these shows aren't as much fun to do, folks, after a defeat, because people get very angry after a defeat and they lash out, especially on the actual evening of them when they've had a drink. And it's understandable. You see it quite a lot on social media. But listening to this, people will say, I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you didn't mention that. I can't believe you think that. So the boys and me know that this is one of these episodes we're getting a kick in. So what I've done, I've gone to the trouble of compiling what I call a complete list of reasons, some of which are contradictory, but this way I think we cover every base and nobody can get onto us. So there's a bit of thought went into this, right? Bit of thought. So yesterday was Steven Gerrard's fault. Yesterday you can't blame the manager. Yesterday was Umar Sadiq's fault. Yesterday, I can't believe people are scapegoating Umar Sadiq. Yesterday, we lacked creativity in the last third. Yesterday, I blame the defenders. Yesterday, Derek McInnes is a lucky wee fanny, we dominated the match. Yesterday, can you believe Derek McInnes, we never got him. Does that cover everything?
No, because I would say that the real fault here lies with Neil Doncaster, because if our original kick-off time had been adhered to, we would have won that game.
I forgot Alfredo Morelos getting himself suspended. I forgot Dave King. I forgot a lot of things. I won't be able to cover. What I'm trying to say, folks, is we can only give you our opinions. We can't give you yours. So with that in mind, we'll just try and crack on. Yesterday and Thursday against Spartak Moscow highlighted something that I don't think has come as any surprise, Alex, and that is that we do lack a little bit of creativity in the last third, and we can become predictable. And when we face teams who are very well organised and don't mind giving us the vast majority of the ball, then we can struggle if we don't get an early goal.
Yeah, we can, and what we've noticed in the games, if you think about the 3 defeats that we've had, the Celtic game was just a kind of poor one overall, and there was some, other reasons for the way the team played that day. But Livingston and now Aberdeen, 3 defeats under the two things that were very much overriding in both of those games is that both of those sides were happy to let us get crosses in, because we don't do it that often. When you look at it statistically in the league, we're actually quite low for crosses. Yeah, in the Livingston game, for example, we average about 15 a game. In the Livingston match, we had at least 25 that I could see in terms of statistics, and there might have been more. A huge amount more than our average, and it showed you the way that Livingston were happy just to let us go wide. Spartak were as well, and in midweek were happy to let us cross the ball in, because it's not really one of our strengths anymore. So we've let, in the last 2 games, we certainly did yesterday, we've let other teams kind of dictate to us how we're going to play rather than playing our own game. It's happened a few times this season. I don't think it's every match. I don't think it's really, there's other teams have tried it and we haven't done that, but it's something that we do still seem to be learning, which is added to the frustration yesterday, because had we played our own game, you would have been much more confident of getting the result, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Now, Cammy, I'm a huge fan of the manager. Anyone who listens to the show will know that, and I'm not throwing my toys out the pram here, but when we praise him for excellent results, I think it's only fair. The corollary of that is that you have to criticise if you feel he's made bad decisions, and it doesn't mean that I'm saying he's useless or get rid of him. I'm just saying that I think yesterday he had a bad day at the office. The first one for me was, of course, and Alex, feel free to chip in here as well, Umar Sadiq, who we hadn't seen for a long time and hadn't started the match this season. It's been a while since even his last substitute appearance. He was brought in from out of nowhere to play, so we didn't have to alter the side, and we played a normal formation, a normal style, with him at the pivot, with Morelos of course being suspended and Kyle Lafferty unavailable. It didn't work, in my opinion, and while I don't think he's entirely the reason we lost, of course he isn't, it doesn't change the fact that for me the manager had to come up with something better. And while it's okay to say, well, he's a third choice striker, we needed a striker, so you play him, I get that, but the suspicion was it would be ineffective, and unfortunately it was.
It was, and there's actually a kind of point there which maybe I'm quoting controversy, but the main issue for me with this was we were landed in this situation which, although Gerrard couldn't foresee, he had made comments to Sadiq's ability well before this. And unusually, I think given the current climate, I will praise Umar Sadiq, because I didn't think he lacked effort yesterday. I think he lacked quality and he lacked a lot of other things, but he didn't go out there with a poor attitude, which possibly he could have done as a loanee who I think is fairly sure he's going back to his parent club in January. And Gerrard, I think, had kind of set his stall out, and as this situation where he was probably going to have to play started to unravel, Gerrard publicly tried to kind of backtrack that slightly. And then I think he went back to his original message in his post-match yesterday. I think the thing is, he was in a kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. We could have played Andy Dallas up front, and then if we still get the same result, it would have been, well, why didn't we play Sadiq, who's got far more experience than him? You were just never going to be able to answer that.
I don't think it would have been. I think that the whole situation has been baffling, not in the lead up to it particularly because it was the manager doesn't rate him, it's been a dud sign and that can happen, but then to get him in, okay, that seemed a bit odd. And then, of course, for him not to play it well. Whereas I think with Dallas, it would have been, we need a striker, he's a striker. We thought we'd give it a try. Alex, I hear what Cammy's saying, and like I say, the whole situation has been odd. And I have to admit that I thought we would try something different, because the manager couldn't have really made it clearer that he wasn't taken at all with Sadiq. And yet, then pitches him into one of our most important matches so far. and sort of proves why he was right, but I didn't get the thinking at all, and I think that it was the manager saying, I will do anything to avoid having to change the way I want to play.
Possibly. We've gave him some stick, in fairness. We've gave Gerrard some stick for changing the way the team plays in other matches. Motherwell away, Livingston away, we've kind of given him some stick for a change of shape, a change of approach. So maybe he was, as you say, trying to maintain some sort of momentum with what he had, and making that one change was closest to that. I'm probably going to take a bit of stick for this, but I didn't think Sadiq was terrible. I thought he'd done okay-ish up until the moment that I'm sure we'll talk about, where he's hit the deck when he probably didn't need to. But up until then, I thought he'd done all right for a guy who was pitched into his first game for his semi-final, hasn't played first team football in a while, etc.
I would agree with that, Alex, but that is a slightly different issue. I would agree, actually, and I've watched the game back this morning, folks. Sadiq was all right. He wasn't Rangers, maybe he was Rangers' worst player, but he wasn't far off. He was not the reason Rangers lost solely yesterday. There were other players who didn't turn up either, and I think, as Cammy said, given the situation, he turned up, he gave it his best, and I don't think that you can ask for a lot more than that from a player. He's probably not up to the standard we need. But the whole situation has been weird.
It has, yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. And no one was expecting, when there was rumours kicking about in the morning that Sadiq was starting, people were kind of no chance. And given that's summed up the situation there and then, the only thing I can think of, and I have put a bit of thought into this from the minute the team broke, I think Gerrard, aside from trying to keep things relatively, the way that they were and make as few changes as possible, I think he wanted to see if pitching Sadiq in could get a reaction out of him. To see if maybe it's just about, okay, well, I'm giving you your chance here, go and show me that I'm wrong. That's the only other thing I can think of, because we could have played young Dallas. I think I actually kind of expected him to be at least on the bench. We could have went with Grezda and a completely different approach in the front three. Would have been difficult with the way Aberdeen played, but it would have been interesting to watch. I can't see any other reason after everything that's happened that Gerrard suddenly thought this is a guy who's going to win me this game. He must have been expecting something more from him.
The simplest answer to that is it's twofold. The first one is Gerrard's pragmatism, which has been evident throughout certain parts of the season thus far, and also his lack of other options. I don't really know if I disagree with the fact that people were surprised that Sadiq would play, but I think most of us would have said Sadiq will probably have to play because he's pretty much our only other first team striker.
But then don't you give him some minutes in the run up to it, even off the bench?
Listen. But this is probably where, and Gerrard alluded to this himself. And one thing you cannot fault our manager for is that he is self-effacing, because he came out in his post-match and said, I wouldn't have played Morelos against Ayr United. But I would add on to that and say, well, okay, maybe you wouldn't have played him against it, but see, when the game was done and dusted, why didn't you take him off? Why didn't you give Sadiq? I don't expect.
He did take it. No, he did take him off in that game, Cammy, but he didn't have Sadiq. He didn't have Sadiq on the bench.
What I mean by that is, if you're taking him off or then playing Sadiq, because he's not going to play Sadiq against Spartak Moscow. So again, like you say, he should have been able to try and fold him into the team somehow and then get some minutes out of him. I don't think for a minute Sadiq will be at Rangers post-January. There's no chance that he's put him into that game yesterday to say, go and prove yourself and let's see what we've got, because I think we're now seeing the polar opposite of Andy Halliday. And by that, what I mean is Andy Halliday's absolutely expressed himself in training to be able to get the level of game time that he's getting and to get the amount of plaudits that he's getting from Gerrard. Sadiq is not getting the game time, and he's also getting pelters from Gerrard publicly. And from that, I would say that's what he's obviously producing in the training pitch. So I think his mind is very much made up about Sadiq. I don't think anything that he would have done yesterday would have changed that, to be honest. Where you're seeing a little bit of a failure, and probably that addressing the inexperience that Gerrard is, where he probably should have brought Sadiq in and given him more game time in the run up to this. Because I would have lost happily 5-0 last Thursday in order to be able to get to the final of the League Cup. If that had meant Sadiq had played and, I don't know, had maybe scored or got something out of that game which would have given him the proper prep for yesterday, and that never happened.
Alex, the penalty incident, I've watched it back quite a few times. I can't get my head around it. I don't know why he chose to do what he did. There is a slight push in the back from the defender, but not enough to take him down. And to be honest, he then tries to create contact with the keeper anyway, so it's not the shove in the back he's react to. I just don't understand the decision.
Looked to me like he'd slightly lost his balance, but only slightly, in a way that he could have still stayed on his feet anyway. Frustrating because had he just rolled that, into the back of the net, taking us any extra time, the reactions towards his performance would have been very different, wouldn't it? It just shows you the kind of margins there. One of those things that seems to be happening now, players feel a bit of contact and they think it's better to go down in the box than to take the chance of, because if he was off balance, he goes through and he skies that thing over the bar. He's probably in that split second just felt the contact, felt himself going off balance and thought, I ain't had a deck here. There was no real defending it though. Much like the performance yesterday, it was a promising situation in the final third where we made a horrendous decision. It was almost like a little microcosm of the entire game.
And Thursday, and that I think that's probably why people are being so down on it, because as you say, it's a game of fine margins. Had we scored, and I genuinely felt this after an hour, had we got one, we'd go on and get three, because Rangers were by far the better side. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to give it the whole, Aberdeen didn't come to play. It's a semi-final, it's about winning, it's about getting through. Had we got the goal, then they'd have got lambasted because they came and showed no ambition and sat in. But because they didn't, or we didn't, and they then did what their plan was, which is try and pinch a goal somewhere, their plan worked perfectly. It's the fine margins in football, Cammy. If Ryan Jack's shot in the first half goes in, who knows? I think Rangers win the tie probably 3-0 really comfortably, but it didn't. And we're Rangers, we don't do aye buts and moral victories. The fact is Aberdeen won fair and square, unfortunately. I'd love to blame the referee, it wasn't his fault. I'd love to say that Aberdeen had no ambition, they didn't deserve it. A semi-final's not about deserving it, it's about winning it.
No, you're right, and listen, I'm not willing to turn around and say Aberdeen didn't get what they deserved out of that game, because they did, and we were too easy to read. We were playing in a style that Aberdeen felt very comfortable with throughout the entire game. There was points where, to kind of come back to where we were offensively, the amount of times when we came into the box, especially within the last 20 minutes or so, with the ball in the deck, looking for a cutback, and we just don't know who's there. It's virtually a blind pass after creating brilliant space. Because Kent did that a couple of times, and it was to no one, and Aberdeen walked up and dealt with it. There's another part to that, and this, again, I don't think has been an overwhelmingly popular thing, but I'm also disappointed that the goal that we've conceded is yet again another cross which I've got to want our keeper to go and come for, and it harks back to Motherwell. And I think that if he comes and starts, even if he doesn't get anywhere near it or whatever, but gets a foul on it, then it makes a difference. But that contact from that distance from the goal is almost 99 times 100 is straight in the back of the net. And I think that there has to be some fault put towards that as well. If we're going to use that microcosm of that dive to blame that on Sadiq, then I think we have to look at that defending and the goalkeeping from the goal that we conceded. Because again, I just don't find it acceptable that we are conceding corners or conceding from corners when your man has got a header 4 yards out. It blows my mind. I don't understand as to why we're doing it.
It was the difference between them and us that they found a good delivery. We didn't at all, and it cost us. But the first thing I said, actually, I was sitting on the halfway line in the North Stand, and the first thing I said was, that's fucking Motherwell goal again. And it was keeper not coming for it, defenders therefore not have to deal with it. If that's, the agreement, if we know we've got a keeper who doesn't really like coming off his line, but if he's never going to come for it, and I agree with you, I think that sometimes you have to. It was a terrible goal to give away, and it just summed up our day. Alex, the manager played Jack and Koulibaly in midfield. Now, Hartenhand's on last. I don't think he's been playing anywhere near the level he did before his injury, since his injury, and obviously, there's a fairly obvious factor there that could have caused that. But it's a slightly bigger question. Do we need both of them in matches where the opposition are going to sit in? And to further that, do you think the manager's quite realised yet that, look, this is what teams in Scotland are going to do against us? You're going to have to work out a system that is maybe not the way you want to play, but is capable of breaking sides down, because now, especially after this match, televised, everyone in the country saw it. This is all we're going to face now. We saw it against Hamilton, we saw it here. Teams are just going to sit in and go, have the ball, quite happy for you to have the ball. We're going to sit in here, try and hit in the break. And yes, if we get one early, we've proved that we can go on and smash teams 4 or 5. But if we don't, then we struggle. And do you think the manager's quite got his head round the fact that you're going to face teams that, A, it's always a cup final, and B, this is how they'll play?
I think he has. I don't know if all our players have quite got there yet. You guys, I unfortunately missed the night, but obviously you guys had set up the Clint Hill night, and someone even as experienced as him spoke about, that little bit of adaptation to the demands and the way that other teams played against us. So I'm not sure that the players have entirely got there. What I will say on Koulibaly and Jack, and I'll just make this point very briefly, when Koulibaly was playing his best stuff, Ryan Jack was in the team with him. Since his injury, I don't think it's because the two of them are playing. However, I will also say that I do believe where Arfield fully fit, Ryan Jack would have been dropped. I think he likes the midfield three of Koulibaly, Ajaria, Arfield, the one that done so well against Rapid Vienna and Hearts as well. I think he likes that. I think that's his preference, to drop Koulibaly that big deeper and have Arfield being the one doing the box-to-box work with Ajaria. Arfield obviously being on the bench and getting as little time as he did suggests that he wasn't quite ready for this one in a way that meant he could be brought in. So yeah, I don't think we'll see that. I don't know. I don't entirely think Jack and Koulibaly together is a problem. I think the problem right now is that Koulibaly's just kind of dipped a little bit. We're maybe seeing why he didn't play so many games in France last season now. Maybe there's, he's still a relatively young footballer, so maybe there's some consistency issues there. And when he's on his game, he looks very impressive. But when he's not, you can see some of his limitations in terms of his passing and such like, and that becomes a frustration. So, I think, as you say, to get back to the wider point, I think Steven Gerrard knows what we're facing. I think the management team knows what we're facing. I think some of our players are still adjusting to that. Where in other leagues that they've played in, it just wasn't like that. You didn't have to be at your maximum intensity every single game to get by, and I think that some of them are just still learning that. Injuries, rotation, all that sort of stuff. Quite a number of our players, there's only really Goldson and Morelos, isn't there, that you would say, and now Kent, that you would say have been regulars in the team and never really come out of it whenever they've been available. So for some of them, it's still, I think, just adjusting to that.
By Christ, Cammy, we missed Morelos yesterday, didn't we?
Well, we did. Yeah, we absolutely did. And this, for me, and listen, it's well known around this parish, my love of Kyle Lafferty, but we need to buy strikers in January. It has to happen. And that, as much as we've flooded the midfield, as much as we prioritise the defence, which to the larger extent has vastly improved. However, there's still some very significant cracks in it, like what we've just discussed. We need to buy strikers because we can't go into that situation. We are one injury away up front from a crisis. And I suppose I can understand where Alex is coming from in terms of that aspect of the mentality, the youth. I do get those points, right, and they're very good points. The slight issue I've got with that, and where I think some of the questions that the fans want answered, is the yin and yang, and the night and day in terms of home and away performances, because there's too many times away from home where we look like we've shat the bed, and I think that comes from the players, but I also think to a certain extent Arfield's substitution yesterday was nothing to do with his injury. He obviously didn't start because of the injury, but I don't think he would have come on anywhere near that amount of time because of his injury. I think it's because Gerrard didn't want to change it. And that, to me, there has to be lessons learned from that. And we have the right to ask the manager, why is this happening? And he has the right to ask his players, why is your mentality different? Because we can't cruise it at home and then just look like a rabbit in the headlights away. And that for me is where there probably has to be quite a big part of reflection from everyone at the club in terms of where that happens.
I think one of the issues is that, look, I'm positive on Steven Gerrard. I still absolutely believe he's the man who's going to lead us back to success. I just do. And I'll understand that other people are getting frustrated saying, aye, but this and that. And I think part of it is time. And we want to just make things happen. A little bit like the team tried in the last 20 yesterday. We're trying to force it. Because unfortunately time will take time, and I know nobody wants to hear that, and I don't particularly want to. I wish that everything would be sorted out with one summer, but cold light a day this morning when I was sitting feeling very sorry for myself, it was one window. It was building a team from scratch from a pretty poor last team, and it's going to take 3 or 4 windows, unfortunately, Alex, and time happens across months rather than across one match to the next match. I saw someone post on one of the social media platforms, I keep hearing he's a young manager and he's learning. Well, when is he going to learn? It's like, well, mate, it doesn't work like that. It's not, well, this happened on Tuesday, therefore this shouldn't happen again on Sunday. It'd be nice, but things evolve. They very rarely in football does it just change like that. But I get that it's frustrating. I still think we're on the right track.
Yeah, this is one of those situations. You're right there. Time is one of the things that seems to be, and patience, it seems to be in even shorter supply than it's ever been before. And I think this is one of those situations where we kind of criticise the game on paper rather than in reality. You know, as you said, he's not going to go from Thursday to say, Ashton made substitutes earlier in the game on Thursday. He's got zero time in the training ground, really. Because what? Friday, recovery from the Thursday game. Saturday, you're not going to do very much because you get a game on the Sunday. Is it really a surprise that the players then go out and put in a very similar performance on the Sunday as they did to the Thursday?
No.
Because, you know, it's not really a shock, is it? Yeah, you know, some people seem to think we should have learned all the lessons for Thursday and gone to Sunday with a completely different approach. And that, you're right, there is a disconnect there in terms of reality. It doesn't really work that way. And we see this. We've had, for me, 3 relatively average performances in terms of Hamilton, Spartak and Aberdeen. I wouldn't go as far as poor. I think, you know, the result against Aberdeen was poor. Spartak, I wasn't that. I didn't feel that discouraged by it. It was just a little bit frustrating. And obviously the result worked out for Hamilton and was probably the worst of the 3 performances, actually. Yeah, that was a game that we won. It's no surprise that in the space of 7 days, when you've got no time to work with the players in between, really, that happens, is it? I mean, we see that with teams all over the world. That's the sort of thing that goes on when you don't get time to work with players, and all you can really do is ask them for a reaction and hope for the best, and you can make changes if you like and such like, but you don't have much time to work in these things. So yes, you're right, even down to the things like the subs. Yeah, Gerrard probably has taken that criticism on board. He'll certainly have heard it. There's no way he's not aware of it, but it doesn't mean that it's going to just change straight away. I think he needs to feel this out a little bit, and he's still learning as a manager as much as our players are still learning themselves as well.
I do think the subs are a thing. Sorry, Cammy, I'll come to you on this. I was going to ask you. I do think that the subs are a thing. I think, and this is just an opinion, it's not based on anything other than just watching the games. I think, like yesterday, round about 60 minutes, when we are the better side, look more likely. He thinks, I don't want to change anything in case we go backwards. Whereas I prefer a manager to be saying, I'm going to make the change that will get the breakthrough. And I think it's just a sort of conservatism that he has in his approach. And I get it, but it's not working. And I mean, then desperation kicks in after the goal. You chuck two guys on with no time to settle in. I think that you've got to be brave in those situations. And I'm not asking them to put on 3 and go 5 up front, a la Pedro. But, to look at it yourself and saying, right, Sadiq's not working out, take him off, I'll stick on Middleton to go through the middle or Arfield or whatever. I do think that's a legitimate criticism. Sorry, Cammy, go on.
No, I mean, it's a very similar point, David. I think, to come back to the point I made earlier on when he came out in the post-match yesterday and said, I wouldn't have played Alfredo Morelos against Ayr United. And I'm like, well, okay, well, I understand that, but you've known that this problem and what we're going to do up front, you've known about that problem since Ayr United. So I think it's a legitimate and fair question to go back to him to say, well, how have you tried to compensate for that? Because there has been games where Sadiq could have been involved and he hasn't been. And again, like you say, I don't think for a single minute he's not going to butter Sadiq's bread by saying to him, look, son, go out there and prove yourself and, we'll see what keeping you past January. He's not going to do that. But what you can do is say, look, you can go back to Roma and you can sit in their bench, or if you give a decent performance here, you could get, something out the back of it elsewhere. It's your chance to put yourself a little bit in the window. The thing with the subs is a problem, and I don't want to use the word fear with Steven Gerrard, because I do think he has got mountains of courage, but there's been fearful and there's been too pragmatic about what he's doing, and I think he's edging too far down that road now. And again, if I had to go back to that, these two problems could almost be resolved with one solution, which is, I don't really want to see us bust a gut to be able to beat Spartak Moscow. But Rangers fans have been starved of success. The three of us have just spoken about, the time factor, etc. as well. And what we're dealing with now, and we have to go back to this mentality of marginal wins. So, it's going to be beating Celtic in the league is a big target. Being able to get our first major piece of silverware, another big target. Europe is absolutely, well sought after, and it's fantastic. But I would rather have seen effective subs against Spartak and game time for Sadiq with a thought to what happens on Sunday against Aberdeen in a semi-final. And I don't believe, as much as we can slag off Derek McInnes, that he didn't know that Gerrard doesn't want to make immediate changes and, give it a throw of the dice. He will wait and wait and wait and wait. And you can't say to Scott Arfield and Glenn Middleton with 10 minutes, 5 minutes to go, right, go on, chaps, and see what you can do. It's just, it's pointless at that stage. So I think he can acknowledge some of these things, and this is what I do like about him, is that he is very self-effacing. He will take that, criticism, and he will, hopefully start to work on it. I'm not seeing the work yet on the substitutions, but he needs to learn those lessons really quickly. And some of the best managers that football's ever had have had to take that criticism on board and change their approach. Alec Ferguson did it. And as soon as they can take that criticism and change what they're doing, it makes them better managers. Gerrard needs to be able to do that, but he needs to do it quicker in terms of our expectations, because I don't think Rangers fans are turning on him. But David just mentioned there, we do have some legitimate criticism that we can put his way.
I think as well, Alex, that one thing that was crystal clear to me yesterday, and in my heart of hearts, it's the same for me, that Europe is brilliant and it's great, and financially it's amazing, and it dwarfs anything else we could have achieved this season. That's just a fact. And the nights are exciting and we all enjoy it. That's the logical side of our brain. Our heart is going, I want a fucking trophy. I want 55. I don't give a fuck about all this Europe shite. And that's wrong, and it's parochial, and anything else you want to say about it, you can shout and bawl at me and you'll be correct. But that's the issue the gaffer faces at the moment. That while all that's good, there is coming to a point where fans are, and I think we're getting to it now, just going, I don't give a fuck about that, in all honesty. Just beat Livingston, beat Aberdeen. it's a dissonance, as you said earlier, but I think that's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, probably is. Yeah, even if somebody like myself would sit here and say, fucking tell that to my bank balance after buying mine and my boys' tickets for the European games, that we're going to go into them as third or fourth priority, Like, I get that, and I do also understand Steven Gerrard's position, where he's very much taking the place of, I'm the manager of Rangers, and Rangers got to play to win in every single match. So he talked about this on Thursday when somebody asked, what are you going to do with Sunday in mind? Gerrard's answer was, I'll play my strongest team on Thursday and then I'll worry about Sunday after that. I get that, that's part of it. To go back slightly, the pragmatism thing, because obviously the subs are a thing, and I do get that. The pragmatism thing was probably something that we accused Walter Smith of a little bit as well during his spells. He would maybe be a bit more, in fact he was probably more pragmatic with substitutes at times. If we were winning 1-0 in a game away from home, he wasn't likely to do what Gerrard done in his first game against Aberdeen in the league, where he brought on a Jaria in midfield to try and get on the ball and get us up the pitch a bit more. He would have brought on Ross McCrory, which might have ended up being the right decision, but it would have been a more defensive one. And I don't know if things like that have burnt Gerrard slightly, and he's a bit more cautious now in general with the subs. Doesn't know which way to go, because he's made mistakes with them, and then you take something like the Middleton substitute in Villarreal, which ended up being inspired. And I don't know if he's slightly, undecided. I'd also like to hear what Michael Beale's saying to him round about the 60th minute mark yesterday. They had quite a lengthy conversation after one of our attacks broke down. I'd love to know if Beale's there telling him, look, we need to make a change, and he's saying no. Is it the other way around? Who knows? Overall, yeah, I get it. I guess I want to see Rangers just go to play. I don't think the Spartak Moscow game cost us yesterday, if you get my meaning. I just think that at the moment, when a slightly poor run in terms of performances, and what cost us yesterday was a mixture of us not doing enough to win the game and Aberdeen getting that little bit of luck that was needed on the day. I want to see us go and play to win every game. So I would rather, I get it, I want a trophy, I want that more than anything else. I want the league more than anything else. I don't think, I'm certainly not giving up on that yet. But yeah, I wouldn't want to see us do what Celtic did over in Leipzig, for example, and pretty much throw the game. I wouldn't want that either, because that just, to me, doesn't fit with our entire reason for being,
No, I get it, and to be honest, what I'm effectively saying here in a long-winded way is I just want to fucking win every match. And
yes.
please find a way to make that happen, Steven Gerrard. That's all I'm after. That's all the Rangers support want. We just want to win every single match. Actually, that's something you can lose a couple once the league's won. So, but apart from that,
only if you're playing the entire under-20 squad.
Yeah, obviously, and it's against somebody that we don't hate. So long as that's the case, that's fantastic. Aye, so a really sore one, a kick in the balls, and Cammy, Kilmarnock coming to Ibrox on Wednesday. Now, I think that they will line up exactly the same way that Aberdeen did. They will sit in, they will try and frustrate us, they'll try and frustrate the crowd, hoping we'll get on the players' backs. However, we have this great record at Ibrox, and I think the players feed off that. So it's an interesting game. I'm not going to say anything like, it's a must-win, because they're all must-win. But we really do need the players to find a bit of confidence, a bit of decision making in the last third. We will have Morelos back, and I actually think the boost that'll give, not only us but the players, will probably be enough for us.
Yeah, I mean, but it should be more than enough. And what I mean by that is that I would like to be able to kind of shoot that old analogy of I'd be afraid for whoever we play next, as I believe Mr. Struth once said, because the ultimate aim to that is that you're then turn around and say we need to give someone a doing now in order to be able to lick our wounds, go away, regroup. As much as we're all saying, we'd love to win everything and all that kind of stuff, the league is a priority. This is league business. This is what we need to be able to focus on. Celtic have shown that they can be got at, even though they'll have had a cracking weekend across the last few days. But the biggest point to this is that we need to capitalise again on that home form, bounce back, using the old cliche of how much yesterday has hurt us, and take it out against Kilmarnock. And again, I would want, and I would take a 1-0 win, but I would hope that we go out there and not only play them off the park, but unlike the Hamilton game, which turned into a little bit of a clusterfuck, dominate it from the first minute and get a decent rout against them.
Alex, they are two decent fixtures. We did bounce back after the Livy disappointment with good results. I'm of the belief that it's better to have a game quickly after a match like Sunday, and we've got another chance to further put away the away day hoodoo. We've got St Mirren at the weekend. We should absolutely be winning that game. Killie are tough, they're a good side, but we should absolutely be beating them at Ibrox. To me, and this is maybe just hopeless optimism, but I'm very much, if I was the manager, I'd be saying to the players, you've got a great opportunity to start trying to make it up to the fans here.
Yeah, they do. Kilmarnock took 4 points off us at Ibrox last season. We owed them a game at Ibrox. We owed them. Obviously, we've done well against them in the League Cup this season. We went there. We owe them a bit of a doing, actually. Now, they're going to be difficult to play against because they are under Sliggy Clark. As you say, they must have looked at the last few games and think, well, we know what approach we need to take in this one to make it difficult for them. But I think we'll see, there'll probably be the edgiest Ibrox has been all season because of some of the anger from yesterday. To begin with, I don't know, a Wednesday night will probably be quite cold. It's one of those nights, isn't it? And the crowd are a bit pissed off from Sunday, so I don't know how the atmosphere will be to begin with, but I suspect the players are going to come out of traps very, very quickly, try and really, really go for it in that first 15-20 minutes, see how that works. As you say, Morelos coming back in will get the fans a little bit more excited again, to some extent, especially if he scores. I suspect there'll be a couple of changes there. I'm more interested to see what changes Gerrard makes after being quite scathing after the game yesterday. What does he do? Does he give the same players another chance to prove themselves, or is he that annoyed that he drops? How many times did Candace? I thought Candace had a decent game yesterday, but how many chances did he mess up when he got himself in great positions and with a really poor cross or something like that? And then Gerrard's talking about that lack of quality in decision making. Is that going to be someone who gets dropped because of that?
I think you'll see 4 or 5 changes, yes.
Yeah, I suspect Arfield will come back in if he's fit. I think we've seen in the last 3 games what he offers us in midfield, by not being there. I don't know if he'll have both Koulibaly and Xhaka on the pitch. It might be one or the other. Barisic will hopefully be fit. I think he offers a better balance going forward against teams that sit in as well. So it'll be interesting in that respect. And you're right, having a game straight away is what players seem to like when they've had a disappointment. They don't like a week or two in the training ground to stew over it. They want to be playing straight away. So I suspect they're going to come out and really go for it, and it's going to come down to that little bit of quality and luck again, and hopefully this time we'll show it. There's 3 games. I don't see this Rangers squad having 4 sort of frustrating average performances in a row. I think we're better than that.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest annoyance, is that I know we're better than that yesterday, but a big game, we didn't show it. It's the second big domestic game, unfortunately, that we've lost. And yeah, it was just a right kick in the stones, as was last week, Cameron, when the news came that Sports Direct had won their legal battle, also appeared with Rangers over the selling of strips, and that Rangers were ordered to cease working alongside Elite with and other suppliers with the kits. Now, Dave King has responded today, where he's basically said Sports Direct owes money. They haven't paid us for last season's strip deal despite being asked, and that Rangers will be taking them to court to try and get that money back, and that the current injunctions Rangers will comply with, but as he put it himself, Sports Direct should not think that this is the end of the matter or the last time we'll be in court. Your thoughts, Cameron?
It's just it just rumbles on, doesn't it? And it's just what's amazing about this is fucking hell, Mike Ashley can hold a grudge. I mean, honestly, I thought I was bad, but he could sweep the board with me for pettiness stakes. It's just money is going to be the only thing that resolves this outcome, and I absolutely do not want to kowtow to Sports Direct in terms of any kind of agreement with them going forward. However, we can get into a situation that we've had previously where fans can't buy strips and all the rest of it, and been able to try and deal with that, because obviously we're all aware of the demand that the strips generated when they were released a few weeks ago. Personally, and I've been critical of King in the past, so I'm not going to be that guy who kind of does a 180 and turns the other cheek with it. But I enjoy the fact that Dave King is the one who comes out and responds back to these things. I think it shows how seriously Rangers are taking it when it's coming directly from him. I don't know what the solution is to this. I don't know if it is get everyone around the table and then just pay them and wipe our hands of it. Let's just start ripping things up and let's just call it a day. But Sports Direct don't want to let this go, and that for me is completely driven by Ashley. And
that's the problem, Cammy. Sports Direct don't want to just be given money and fuck off, and nor do they really want the business either, which is why they'd hemmed and hawed after the initial court victory they had a couple of months ago, which was why Rangers decided, well, fuck this, we're just going to get the strips out. They are just being deliberately obstructive, it would appear, in that's Rangers' view on it, Alex.
Yeah, I probably need a bit of clarification on this one, guys, because I've heard various reactions to this news and such. Like, my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because there's a very real chance that I am. My understanding is that Rangers are now in the position where they have to, well, they cannot any longer be chasing partnerships or strips or anything like that. However, Elite and Grieve Sports, and I don't know about JD Sports, they might be different because of the nature of that agreement, but there are companies who are able to buy these strips from Hummel and still do business. Is that correct?
Yes, what would happen is that the court ruling said that Rangers had to stop dealing with Elite and stop telling Elite or promoting Elite, which Rangers have done. But Rangers can't tell Elite to stop selling the strip. Sports Direct would need to win a separate injunction against them, and as of the time of recording, they haven't achieved that.
Okay, so despite everything, and from a public, from a PR standpoint, it's not good again. Ultimately, given the way that Sports Direct have acted, the board have played not a blinder, but they've played the only hand they could, really, in this one. I mean, what were they going to do, sit and wait on Sports Direct being cooperative? That was never going to happen, so they've almost felt forced to go into what they've done and made some money and got some strips out there.
They weren't even so much worried about the money, it was just getting the strips out there to let fans get a hold of them. That was the main consideration. Negative
in terms of kind of PR standpoint, very, very annoying, as Cammy says, when it comes to Sports Direct and the way that Mike Ashley can hold a grudge, and I suspect that, that he'll still be holding that grudge 100 years after he dies, probably. It'll be part of the will for whoever takes over from him if they try and shaft Rangers at every opportunity. But ultimately, not great news, but not the worst. It could have been, had the board been, a bit less, what's the right word here? I want to say sneaky, but not quite sneaky, but they made a decision that wasn't quite within the spirit of everything, but it's actually turned out to be kind of the best that we could do with it, really.
Yeah, I think so, and it will rumble on. Unfortunately, I know that that's not what people want to hear, but that certainly seems to be the case. Now then, we like to, it's been a fairly downbeat pod, obviously, but we like to leave you with a smile on your face, and to do that, we nominate our Total Heartsons, and that's where we look around the world of football to see who has said something so utterly stupid or done something so utterly idiotic that it could actually have come from the mind of one John Hartson. So, Alex, if you would like to kick us off this week, who would you like to nominate?
Yes, I would like to nominate Eduardo Belo, who is a Venezuelan striker who plays for a team called Antofagasta, who are playing against a Venezuelan team called Everton. Seems to be one of those things, doesn't it? There's all these names all over the place. Now, I want to set this story up a little bit. one time during the game I played football with guys, and like a couple of them were kind of junior players, and one of them in particular was a kind of archetypal junior footballer. You know, it was he grew up. He's the old man, played junior football. He ended up playing for Benburn for a long time. He was a football guy, and anybody that is a football guy understands what I mean by that phrase. We were playing a game one time, and his missus came out of the car and ran over to the side of the pitch to try and talk to him. And my fucking word, it was the biggest mistake she'd ever made in her life. Right? You do not talk to the missus during a game, and you certainly don't encourage her to talk to you. Right? However, Edward Bello, being a modern man, the sort of guy that Scott probably hates,
but is the kind of man that Scott probably hates.
I get what you mean by that,
if his wife came to the side of the pitch, Scott would meekly walk over and see what she wanted.
Yeah, somewhat, yeah. But Edward Bello scored a goal in the second minute in this game and went over and proposed to his girlfriend at the side of the pitch as part of his celebration.
No, I don't like that.
Fuck off is my response to that.
I don't like that.
Imagine she said no, firstly. Anyway,
which she should have just for the lols.
She should have, yeah. Scores that goal, celebrates, gets polite applause from both sets of fans.
Ugh.
Can you imagine Rangers fans applauding a player for proposing after he scored against us?
No.
My word, man, that'd cause riots.
I'd like to think we'd be singing "She Takes It Up the Arse."
Yeah, it'd be something. There's no way we would applaud him for it.
No.
Then he later scores another goal in the game, so he's open to scoring. He then equalises, and then he goes off injured in the second half in what I can only assume is karma. And when you actually break this story down, it's like a little microcosm of his life, and where he's made a total heartson of it. He's scored, he's proposed, he's scored again, and now he's fucked for life. And that's it. That's him. That's his story. He's made a total heartson of it in the space of 90 minutes.
Alex there with his views on marriage coming to the fore there. Cammy?
So mine comes from the time you can get out down sport, land of down under. So you guys will hopefully be aware that Usain Bolt seems to be taking FIFA Ultimate Team a bit too seriously.
Yes.
And is fishing as much as he can for a professional contract.
You'd score goals for fun up here.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, he runs like Umar Sadiq, except, at like 40 times the speed. So he's currently with the Central Coast Mariners, and in I want to say a pre-season friendly, actually bagged a brace. He scored a couple of goals. Would anyone care to guess who set up one of those goals?
Oh, I read that somewhere. Actually. Yeah, go on.
Well, if you know it, then David, would you like to have a guess?
I read it, but I can't remember. It was like a Scottish guy, wasn't it? Oh, Ross McCormick. It was Ross McCormick.
It was Ross McCormick, yes, that's right. The Slayer of Porto. He actually set up Bolt for one of his goals.
Rat-faced Terrier as well.
The other thing with this though is that it's becoming obviously the PR around this is absolutely sensational, and it's starting to promote the A-League. You would think, however, some of the players within the A-League don't really take to this kind of story. One of which being Andy Keogh, who plays for Perth Glory, who, and this is a direct quote, says that Bolt has the touch of a trampoline. He says he's never going to make it as a professional footballer. Bolt's 31 as well, so again, I mean, he maybe could get a couple of years, but he would have to be able to prove it. But the really good thing with this is that, again, obviously this is the corporate side of football working against the practical side of football, because in a recent press conference, the manager of Central Coast Mariners, a guy called Mike Mulvey, was asked, how do you feel about Bolt being offered a contract? And he actually replied by saying, that's the first I've ever heard about this. So it's quite clear that the owner has been able to try and promote Central Coast Mariners a little bit more than they would say that their manager is trying to look at certain positions. But in fairness, I think I probably would have taken Bolt up top yesterday. So you can't really slag him off. Maybe we might get him in January.
Actually, one thing I'd say with Usain Bolt is being a bit of an athletics fan, I'd kept an eye on this one. Just out of sheer curiosity to see how he would do.
Athletics?
Yeah, I used to be a good sprinter back in my day, as much as that's hard to believe now. So,
tell you something then, Alex, if we stand you next to Usain Bolt, you're like a fucking advert for Just Say No.
Aye, exactly, man. I could have been the original Usain Bolt, but
could have been a contender.
Then fucked it. But what's interesting is the A-League's like one of those leagues where you've got a salary cap. I think you've got each team has a cap.
Yeah, that's
it's not like
you can spend it all on one player if you so wished, but you've got limited funds.
And Usain Bolt's given it a whole, I really want to be a professional footballer, it's been my dream, and then the Mariners offering him a professional contract, and he's like, oh no, that's not enough money. And it's like, Usain, I've got a funny feeling your dreams are slightly warped here, pal, because you've made a fair amount over the years, and you're going to continue to do so through sponsorships and shit. Take fucking £500 a week and enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like, no, so he's still at it a little bit, as much as I like the big fucking bastard. He's at it. Let's just say that.
This was one we missed from last week, but it was after Southampton's 0-0 draw with Bournemouth. Southampton manager Mark Hughes was very proud of this result, and he said, that was a statement today. What a fucking dreary statement that is. But it then occurred to me that it's a very Mark Hughes statement, isn't it? I mean, you would expect a Mark Hughes statement to be dry, a little bit dull, slightly frightening. You wouldn't expect it to be, when the seagulls follow the trawler type statement, would you?
Yeah,
so it was very in keeping with his character at the moment. And they got another 0-0 draw with Newcastle at the weekend, which literally was the worst game of football that's ever been played, either in real life or in fiction. It was atrocious between two teams who are just shit out of confidence. And Alex, much to you, I'm sure you being a tactical nonce, both of them played 4-4-2.
Yeah, it's just not a formation anymore.
Oh, there's the controversial moment in the show, folks. That'll be the one that gets the listeners coming into us with comments. Okay, folks, that's everything then from Heart and Hand. Now, a few of you asked last week why there wasn't a Heart and Hand extra. After discussions with the production company, it's because of times when we play out late on a Thursday night, there's no way for them to get it out in time for the next match, so that's what we're going to do, and we'll just fold it into the next show like we've done tonight. We've only got another 3 Thursday night matches maybe to go, but those weeks there won't be one, so I might try and stick up something else from our Patreon site though, just to come in your ears. And of course, if you do want to hear more from us, go to our Patreon site, which is patreon.com/heart and hand. That's patreon.com/heart and hand. For just $1.99 a month, you will get about I'd say maybe an extra 80 to 100 hours of content per month on all things Rangers, all things football. To put that into context, apart from all the Rangers stuff from the last couple of days, today we had an interview with the director of Kaiser, the greatest footballer who never played football. The story of a Brazilian player who played for around about 20 clubs, big clubs by the way, like ones you've heard of: Corinthians, Grêmio, Botafogo, Roma. The only thing is he wasn't a footballer and he never actually played for any of them, but he kept getting contracts after contracts and shagged 1,000 women in his life. So no fucking energy clearly left to play football. But good guys featured in the movie, like Romario, Bebeto, Zico. This guy is very well known in Brazil, and yes, there are transsexuals involved. For those of you who, when you hear Brazilian football, you think drunken monkey or transsexual. No drunken monkeys, but there are transsexuals, and that interview is available for subscribers today, and we'll be giving away a couple of copies of it on Patreon as well. Please check out heartandhand.co.uk, where you can buy loads of Heart and Hand branded tat. There's no problem with our suppliers, and none of it goes to Sports Direct. It's a load of shite, but Christmas is coming up. Stocking fillers, give it to someone, they'll look at it a wee bit disappointed, you'll go, hey, but you've done your bit, right? Just That's what to do. And lastly, we've released a very limited amount of tickets for our Craigmoor night. If you go to our social media feeds, you will find the ticket link. So go to Heart and Hand Facebook and you'll find the link, and you can come and see Craigmoor joining the pod at the Loudon Tavern, Glasgow on Friday the 9th of November. All that remains for me to do is to thank our executive producers in London, Mike Lee and Paul Miles, West Ham and Spurs fans, so they weren't talking after the match last week, and to thank my two guests, the ever wonderful Mr. Cameron James Bell.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your time.
I didn't give a winner. The winner is Alex of the Heartson of the Week. Yeah, your lad for absolutely fucking it. Both his credibility and his life. We're giving it to your lad. So there's a wee bonus, and a thank you, Mr. Alex Staff.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We will be back on Thursday this week, because we're playing on the Wednesday, with a review of the Kilmarnock game and a look ahead to St Mirren. Until then, have a wonderful week. I'll speak to you again then. Cheers. Bye.